Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World Pulse podcast. I'm your host, Sheena Katz, and I'm really glad that you're here today. World Pulse is a social impact network supporting grassroots women leaders who are advancing gender equity worldwide. And this podcast is here to explore how change actually happens in the world, not only through policies or institutions, but through connection, through listening, and through the bridges that we build between people, communities, and possibility. At World Pulse, we often talk about creating a digital bridge to change, a bridge that connects women across borders, cultures, and lived experiences, a bridge that turns stories into shared understanding and understanding into collective action. Because meaningful change does not happen in isolation. It happens when women are able to find one another across geography, sector, and circumstance and move forward together. In this podcast series, we're especially interested in how women navigate complexity, how they build trust, how they make decisions in moments of uncertainty, and how connection, particularly in the digital world, becomes a catalyst for real, lasting change. Each episode is an invitation, not just to listen, but to cross a bridge, to reflect, to engage, and to see yourself as part of a global community working towards a more just and equitable future. And today, I'm honored to be joined by Busayo Obisakin, a counseling psychologist, gender equality expert, and founder and CEO of the Women Inspiration Development Center in Nigeria. For more than 3 decades, Busayo has worked to advance the safety, leadership, and economic empowerment of women and girls. When violence against women surged and the economy declined during COVID-19, she mobilized quickly, launching a food bank and partnering to train women to produce and sell reusable face masks, creating both protection and income in a moment of crisis. Through her leadership and digital skilling program, she has already empowered thousands of women and girls across Nigeria and continues to expand her Confident Girls program, helping young women rise beyond poverty and gender violence. Busayo is also a longtime member of the World Pulse community and now serves on our board, bringing deep community-rooted wisdom into global conversations about equity and change. At the heart of her work is one powerful belief: healthy and safe women make healthy nations. Busayo, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the World Pulse podcast.
Thank you so much. It's indeed my pleasure.
So, Busayo, you've spent decades working at the intersection of counseling, gender justice, and community-led development. When you look back, what moments or experiences most shaped your commitment to the safety and freedom of women and girls?
Well, the most moment or experience that shaped my commitment to this work is, I grew up in a compound where violence against women and girls is like a normal thing. I was just 9 years old when one of my uncle beat his wife to coma. She spent about 3 weeks in the hospital. And there and then, I decided at 9 years old that when I grow up, I will not allow women and girls to continue to suffer this. And that was what informed my work. And that was why, at a point in my life, when I thought that it won't be possible for the vision to be realized, I decided to be connected to internet. And it is through that I got War Pulse. And War Pulse started the Voice of Our Future correspondence. And I was opportune to join that. And in the year 2009, I was selected to come to US at the Empowerment Institute. And at the Institute, that vision was engulfed me, and I decided to share it at the Empowerment Institute because I could see the work they are doing with us, the personal agency development, that this is what the women and girls in my country needed so that they can come out of the abuse they have been facing, the culture of silence that has been plaguing them for years. And I grabbed it and I told them there and there that I am going back to do this in my country. And so War Pulse helped my vision. I've been nursing the vision for like 40 years until I came across War Pulse. And within a year of being connected at War Pulse, my vision came into realization. And that has been informed the kind of energy that I put into the work.
And over the years, how would you say that belief has evolved through your work? You talked about it a little bit. How do you see it playing out in today's communities across Nigeria and beyond?
My advocacy and campaigns around communities and radios in Nigeria is always on the fact that women and girls must be saved to maximize their potentials and to contribute their quota to the development of the nation. And that is why Women Inspiration Development Center, my organization, work is primarily to develop the personal agency of women and girls, to find their voices, to discover their power, and also to live their dreams. And as we are doing, we also helped with the men and boys in the community to see women and girls as partners and not competitors or slaves, so that they will be working together to make a better family and a better nation. So this has informed our work. The safety of women and girls is paramount to the work we are doing.
And one thing that really stands out in your leadership is how deeply rooted it is in the proximity of listening. So how has listening, and I mean truly listening, shaped the way that you lead?
Yeah, listening is key. I'm a psychologist. I'm a counseling psychologist. And listening is key in my profession, client-centered therapy. And so for me, it is germane to listen to the women and girls I work with. For example, I work mostly with survivors of rape, abuse, and trafficking. So listening helped me to discover where they are coming from, where they are, and how they are ready to create the life they want. Most of the time, these categories of people just need our support, our understanding, our willingness to walk the journey of healings with them. So because of this, most of the time, they need us to listen to them so that they can create what they want for themselves. So listening is key to my work, because that will help them to create the life they want and to own it and to make it sustainable for them. This is what we do for them at Women Inspiration Development Center. And it has helped us for the number of years we have been working with these categories of people.
And now I want to talk about a moment that really tested leadership everywhere, and that was the COVID-19 pandemic. So during that time, violence against women increased and economic pressures really intensified, and you quickly mobilized. You created a food bank to support income generation through mask making. What did that moment teach you about leadership in crisis?
Well, it taught me that leaders must be proactive in crisis. At a point in my communities, hunger became another pandemic. And that was why I switched into action. And then I contacted some people that I know that despite the COVID-19, we still receive our salaries, because many businesses crashed. Even the people that are doing petty trading, they couldn't go about their businesses. And so it was only we that are salary earners that was we continue to receive our salary, so we continue to survive. So I just call a number of people, or like-minded people, and I said, we need to help the women and girls in our communities if we will not have a hunger to kill people. And that was what we did. We contributed money and we started the food bank, and we started distributing food at slums, at ghettos around us, and also we know that they needed to protect themselves. These are the people that could not afford even the nose mask. So we decided to train some of them on how to make their own nose masks with the clothes that is available to them at home. They don't have to buy anything. They just needed those clothes to make it into nose mask that could be protecting them. And we taught them, we gave them some materials to do some for themselves. And by the time those materials are wearing out, they were able to make some others for themselves. So we swung into action. It taught me that leaders must be proactive in crisis. Look at what is needed in your community. What is most needed? What is it at that particular time that people are lacking? And then try to bridge that gap. And that was exactly what we did at that time.
And digging deeper into that and looking more broadly, how do you navigate the tension between responding to immediate needs and also pushing for long-term structural change?
You know, as we address immediate needs, we also work with series of networks to advocate for policy making and policy implementation. You know, we are in a country where you have a lot of policies, but implementation is lacking. And so, you know, in that situation of the COVID-19, there is already on ground some policies that government should come into the aid of people, but it was not being implemented. So we started advocacy that at this time you have to be there for disenfranchised people that have nowhere to go. There are homeless people. You need to take care of them. You need to create centers for people. And so we started advocating. And as you know, when you advocate, you need network. And we put ourselves together into a network, and we started mounting pressure on the government to do what they should do. So we work with national network that also made the Violence Against People's Act, which will protect people from violence. Because at that time too, violence against women and girls became another pandemic. Girls and women were no more safe anywhere, even in their homes, which should be their safe haven. They were being abused seriously. We don't know if it was as a result of the lockdown. Even fathers were raping their own daughters. It became so serious that we were like, what is happening? And so we were able to advocate for a stronger law policy on violence against women and girls. And that law was passed. It was domesticated in several states in Nigeria. And recently, we have been able, out of 36 states, to domesticate that law in 34 states. So as we work to address immediate need, we also work to make sure that policies are put in place to help people in times of need, in times of crisis, and even in our day-to-day lives.
Wow, that's incredible. And as you know, we talk a lot about building bridges, across borders, sectors, and lived realities. So, from your experience, what would you say actually makes cross-sector or cross-cultural collaboration work?
Yeah, if I take Warpulse as an example, this is about shared visions that you can localize in your different cultures. that you can localize in your different countries. And this is playing out in our community at World Pulse. There are so many visions that we shared at that community that we take back, bring back to our different countries and different culture. You know, when the World Pulse started, I was part of the ambassadors then, and we were able to bring series of visions that could help women and girls to our own community, and we were able to put it in our different cultures that could help us. You know, you look at your culture, this is a shared vision. How can it be included in your own culture that your community will not feel strange about the vision? And so, in other words, it is something that continues to evolve with deliberate effort to design the structure, the processes, the resources, the mindset, and relationship of the partnership, focusing on equity and trust. You know, communication is key. As we communicate what is going on in our community, we receive back how we can also keep working together as a community of World Pulse that have diverse culture. So we were able to learn a lot of things from each other. We were empathic towards one another, and this is what it is to build the kind of bridges and collaboration that is needed across borders, across sectors, and with our realities.
And you've also partnered with international initiatives like Imagine while remaining deeply rooted in local communities. So,
Yeah.
how do you ensure that global programs stay grounded in local realities?
Yeah, you know, when we started Imagine was in English. The module was in English. The first thing when I came back home was to find a way, because I know the empowerment is good for both the educated and the illiterate. In fact, the disenfranchised people, the rural area women needed it most. So what we did was that I decided to translate the module into our local language, so that when I'm sharing it with the women and girls, they will understand it. They will understand it from their own, from the perspective of their own language. So I shared my vision to take the work back home. I immediately got support to start my NGO. At that time, I was the only trainer of Imagine in Nigeria in 2010. And to date, we have been able to have 36 trainers of Imagine in Nigeria. And we have even empowered about 15,000 women and girls directly. So what happened was that I own that vision. I own it, and I knew it could be useful, and it could help the women and girls in my community. And I was intentional in making it to be in our own local language, so that it will be easy to translate to people of my community.
And you've been
Yeah.
part of the World Pulse community for many years now as a correspondent, as an award recipient, as you mentioned, and now as a
Yeah.
board member. So, how would you say digital connection changed what's possible for women leaders in places where visibility, access, and resources are limited?
Well, what is happening, if I take World Pulse as an example, you know, what we are doing is that some of us that are ambassadors, some of us that at least have some access to internet, we make sure that we take the voices of our women that have limited access out there by representing their voices. So we make sure that their stories are shared. We make sure that what is happening in our community is made known to people globally. And thank God for WAPOS for giving us that kind of platform. It has really, really assisted us to get the voices of our women in the community out there. So we become their voices, we become their voices, and we become their ambassadors. Ambassador of WAPOS to them, and their ambassadors to WAPOS. And it has been so wonderful.
And you have such a unique experience because you worked with a variety of different women in different sectors, different states, different countries. So for the women who are doing powerful work locally, but maybe they don't see themselves as leaders yet, what does finding and using their voice look like in practice?
Well, what I will just say in that is that we need to link up with those people that are down the ladder, collaborate with them much more. And then we also need to look at their challenges and be intentional on how we can help them, how we can make it in such a way that they trust in their voices, they continue to thrive, and they continue to work towards to overcome the culture of silence that have been plaguing them. So we need to help them, share our experiences with them, how we have been in the place they are before. Some of us have been in that place before. When we share our story of how we come out of that, it will help them also to know that it is possible for them to come out of the culture of silence that is plaguing them. And by that, they will also be able to continue to move forward and then move towards achieving their vision in no time. I always, first of all, share my stories of where I was coming from, where I didn't know anything about even internet until I got myself connected, and how I got to WAPOS and what WAPOS has been doing in my life. Because I always tell them my voice then was like voice in the graveyard. And now my voice is so powerful that it's a voice to be reckoned with, even in my community. So by the time you share that kind of stories, people are encouraged that they can also do it, that they can also be that. And that has been helping a lot of women in our community.
And you also now serve on the board of World Pulse. So what does that role mean to you at this stage of your leadership journey?
When you see yourself on the ladder that you think you could never reach, it was so exciting. And but one thing came to my mind, that more recognition brings about more commitment. And commitment in making sure that at WAPOS, people in the community, I represent their voice at the board. I think I've spent about 14 years as a community member before I become a board member. I know what the need of the community members are. And so when I join the board, I always contribute towards that line. This is what they will want that could help them. This is how the board could assist them. This is what you can put in place that will have impact in the lives of the people that are in the community and their work globally. So I always want to be the voice of the community. I make sure that they are heard. And several decisions we have taken, just these few months that I've joined the board, we have taken several decisions that are assisting the community members. And it has been so wonderful.
And in addition to that, you also bring a lot of on-the-ground leadership experience onto the board. So how would
Yes.
you say your on-the-ground experience, shape the perspective that you bring to board-level conversations and decision-making?
Yeah, I also have an organization in my country here, and it has been running for 14 years. So I have a lot of experience of a background of grassroots organization that I could share with the board, that could inform their decisions, so that they will put in place series of things that could help the women in the community that have grassroots organizations around the world. So I could remember that I brought into the board conversation like how what has been happening at the grassroots level, the kind of challenges that grassroots organizations have been facing in my country, and I know in many countries, especially in the developing countries, and ways by which the board could help us to put some things in place, maybe by making our voice known outside the workforce, even engaging at the level of United Nations, so that concentration of funding will be for the grassroots organizations. I remember I shared something like that, and the board felt so good about that, and they said, that would be very wonderful. And I could remember I said you could gather some of our voices and take it to that level, engage at that level, so that there will be shifting in power in the area of funding for the grassroots NGOs. I said because presently, most of the funding targeted at big organizations, and the grassroots organizations are actually the people that are closer to the people that need this funding. They will still make use of us, but in such a way that the fund will be concentrated on them. And so to do the work becomes so difficult. So, and I remember I shared that. And this is what the opportunity I have in joining the board has given me. It helped me to share the experience of the encounter of grassroots organization, which many of our community at Warpos belong to.
You've spent years not only doing the work, but also advocating within systems, communities, and leadership spaces for the safety
Yeah.
and dignity of women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
So for the women listening who may feel called to advocacy, but may not know yet what that path looks like, what guidance would you offer based on your own journey?
Well, what I will share with those categories of people is that advocacy cannot be done alone. You need a formidable network to make your voice heard. I will use the example of what is happening in my own community. I work with survivors of violence, and at a point that we were doing the advocacy on our own organization alone, I could see that we were not making any headway. So I decided, in the state where my organization resided, I just contacted some other NGOs, and we became like 25 of us. We came together as a network. We were doing the same work, but different organization. So we came together And the 25 NGO, we now started our advocacy. It became so powerful that the state government could not ignore our voices again, because they were feeling it so much. You know, when the voice of one person, you won't compare it with 25 people. And 25 of all our organization will go to radio back to back. When I finish, the other organization will start, the other organization will start, and we were doing it back to back. And at a point, the government has to invite us. What does we want? And we started having talk with them. And we said, put this in place. We need a SAC in this state. We need a safe place for survivors. We need them to have a safe place where they can be for a period of time. Personally, my organization has a shelter, but it's not easy to run a shelter if you don't have fund. So we told them, this is your responsibility as government. Even if you cannot build a shelter now, you can be collaborating with some of us that already have the shelter on ground. You will be providing for the people that come to the shelter. And we made it happen because we came together. So advocacy is not done alone. You need a formidable network. Then they also need platform like Warpulse to take their voices out there globally, where you can get support, you can get collaborators, you can get help, you can even get fund. Some people will see what you are doing and they will say, let me assist you. I have had that severally. Individuals, they will reach out to me. Busayo, we like what you are doing in your community. Can we send you this so amount so that can help your work? That has happened. They need platform like Warpulse to help them, to help their work. And also they need social media platforms. You know, in your countries, have a social media platform that you will be putting all your advocacy. Start a campaign on Twitter, start on Facebook. Those governments too, they are on those platforms. So by the time you engage others, your network, and you started the advocacy there, they will see it. Begin to tag them. When you start advocacy on Twitter, tag your president, tag your representatives, tag your senators. And by the time they are seeing that, your voice will be out there. So those are the things that help advocacy. And that is what we have been doing for these past years.
It sounds like what you're saying is connections create impact.
Connection.
And you've been in so many leadership roles and spaces, and leadership is often portrayed as certainty and strength. So what has leadership taught you about vulnerability and doubt and unlearning?
Well, I will say that to be a good leader, you can't but be vulnerable. It's difficult, but then if you want to be a good leader, you will share your life, you will share your story with people that are following you. You know, I was telling you the other time that to help the people that are below the ladder, you have to share where you are coming from, how you get to where you are. And that is vulnerability. You could decide that if I share my work with them, will they not go and be doing that work and then render my own useless? Leadership is based on trust. I have trusted people and they have betrayed me, but that will not stop me from trusting other people. Because maybe the reason why that is easy for me is because I'm an empowered person, and I will never allow myself to engage in disempowered thoughts like doubt. If you engage in disempowered things like doubt, you won't be able to bring about some other leaders to come up with you. And for me, I want to be able to pass the baton to people that are coming behind. So vulnerability is key. You have to be vulnerable. You will share yourself, you will share your life, you will share your work. Out of my confident girls that I started in 2021, some of them have NGOs now, but they are still working with me. That does not stop my own. The sky is so big for all of us to fly. And that is what I always tell people. If you are saying you are keeping what you are doing so that people will not be doing them, it's like you are limiting yourself. This sky is so big for all of us to fly. And so, as leaders, you have to be vulnerable. Trusting people will help you. Don't say, what if I trust them and they betray me? It's part of life. You still trust others. And that is what has been keeping me going as a leader.
I love that the sky is big enough for all of us to fly.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying earlier about the ladder, looking ahead, especially for the women at the top of the ladder, and especially for the women with influence and visibility, what kind of bridges do you believe that these women leaders most urgently need to build right now?
Yeah, you need to link up with those that are below the ladder. Let there be link, let there be collaboration. About 3 years ago, I just look at some organizations around me, about 4 of them, that I know they are not doing much, but they already have their organization. I just called the 4 of them. I said, come and be working with me. And I decided I have grants. I shared with them. I said, go and do this. Go and do this. Since we are doing the same work, you go and do this. If we are planning to reach 600 people, you go and reach 50 people. You go and reach 50 people. That will give you the encouragement that you are also doing what you set out to do. And I've been working with them. I've been assisting them in any way I can. I share with them platform that I am. I took them there. Many of them came to Warpus. And some other platform that I know will benefit them, the one within the country, the one outside the country. I took them there because I don't believe that you keep those things from people. And I know the reason why people keep that kind of a thing from people is that, what if I take them to the platform and then they now overshadow me there? But like I said before, this sky is big enough for all of us to fly. And that has always been my idea. That has always been my motto. And that is why I don't hide anything from anybody. If I see you struggling and there is any way I could help you, I take your hand. Some people have been taking my hand all these years until I get to the level I am now. And there are people that are still taking my hand. And so as they are taking my hand, I have to take other people's hand too, so that we will all of us will be climbing the ladder together. That's the way it should be. And that's my belief.
It sounds like collective leadership. Yeah. Busayo, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for your generosity, your honesty, and for sharing the lived wisdom that comes from being deeply rooted in community. That's listening closely, responding with care, and leading with courage. Your work really does remind us that connection is never abstract. It's personal, it's relational, and when nurtured with intention, it becomes a bridge to safety, to opportunity, dignity, and lasting impact. And to our listeners, if something in today's conversation resonated, we invite you to take the next step. World Pulse exists to be a digital bridge, connecting women across the world so that no one has to lead, learn, or build change alone. To learn more or to get involved, visit impact.worldpulse.org or simply click the link in the show notes for this episode. Because whether you're here to listen, to contribute, or to simply belong, there's a place for you on this bridge. Thank you for joining us on the World Pulse podcast today. This conversation does not end here. It continues through connection. We'll see you next time.